This is the pledge that the Ghanaian authorities made. It said that Ghana had pledged to the US it wouldn't send the deportees back to their home countries. So what changed? I would like an investigation into that. All right, guys. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. As you can see on my screen here, this is Mrs. Kuyateh. Well, Miss Kuyateh. Miss Kuyateh is a Sierra Leonean, started in the United States for about 30 years and was deported recently to Sierra Leone through Ghana. So I want to talk about that dynamics a little bit, but let me let you guys listen to it first and what a story was like. This was reported, by the way, News 4, but I actually saw it from the channel of African Diaspora, news channel, Brother Philip Scott, right here. So I'm going to play the reporting, that was done. And so you guys can hear the story and then we'll take it from there. But again, Miss Kuyateh, a nurse in the United States of America, she lived here for 30 years, was deported to Ghana, and things happened, and I want to talk about it. I wouldn't say this is the first time this story has come to me, but when I saw this reporting from my brother Philip here, it gave me a better understanding of the situation. All right, but let me let's play this. Let's
go check this out.
Mohammed Aghali's mom is his best friend. The two bought this home together in Bowie, Maryland, and he's now worried she won't return after being deported earlier this month.
I felt defeated, felt like I failed my mom.
You felt like you failed her?
I felt like I failed her just because I'm really, doing anything for my mom.
He says his mom, Rabiatu Kuyateh, came to Maryland 30 years ago fleeing Sierra Leone's civil war. Mohammed was born here in the U.S. and says his grandparents joined them here and became citizens. Kuyateh never became a citizen, but was a nurse with a work permit and was required to check in with ICE every year. But things quickly changed during her July check-in.
They called her to the back, and they said, yeah, Rabiatu, you have an order of removal, so, we're detaining you. I mean, my heart just broke.
Did you think that she would see your mother again when they took her that day?
Yes, I was optimistic, I was hoping I'd be able to, see what we could do about getting her released that day.
But he would not see her face-to-face again. After several days, she was moved to an ICE facility in Louisiana, where she was held for months, according to her attorney.
Honestly, I don't think anyone expected her to be detained just because nothing had changed with her circumstances.
Immigration attorney Hannah Bridges represents Kuyateh and says while she was held in Louisiana this past September, a judge granted an order saying she could not be sent back to Sierra Leone, where she says her client had been tortured. Bridges says the U.S. immediately began exploring other countries to send her to, which she also tried to fight in court with requests for hearings.
Those requests went unacknowledged.
Are you concerned that her civil rights were violated during this process?
Absolutely.
How so?
She should have been given notice and an opportunity to seek protection from removal to a third country. And the government had multiple opportunities to do this.
Bridges says earlier this month, Kuyateh was flown from the U.S. to Ghana, a country she's never been to before.
Hi, Mom.
Mohammed called his mother in Africa while we were with him. She says her wrists and ankles are swollen from being shackled for the 10-hour flight. She said some others had it even worse.
There was another guy on the floor. That guy, they trained him from the head down to the feet. They said, if you don't cooperate with us, that's how we're going to tie you.
Kuyateh told the I-team she and other deportees were sent to a hotel in Ghana. She says she was there for 6 days before this happened. A bus arrived to take her to Sierra Leone, even though an American judge ordered she could not be sent there. Her attorney says she was ultimately sent there anyway, although she resisted.
That's when they dragged me. So they bumped the back of my head.
The I-team obtained multiple videos of the dragging that were sent to her family. Kuyateh believes the people in the green uniforms worked for Ghana's government. These are pictures of some of the injuries she says she sustained after the dragging. The video went viral overseas, and several media outlets in West Africa reported that the Sierra Leone High Commission, which is like its embassy in Ghana, said it's aware of the incident and will investigate. We asked the Ministry of the Interior for Ghana about this. They acknowledged our email, but didn't answer our questions. We received no response from Sierra Leone officials.
I consider America my home. It's like I built relationships there.
Kuyateh says she's safe for now in an undisclosed location in Sierra Leone, as her family sits in the home she owns in Bowie, wondering what her future holds and if she will ever come back again.
Do you feel like the U.S. government has failed your mom?
Yes, 100%.
Boy, it's so much that we got to talk about here. Let's talk about just the obvious. This particular,
Okay. All right. I'm gonna take it from there. Again, that's African Diaspora channel. Brother Philip Scott has been doing a phenomenal work. This African American brother. I want you guys to know about that. And but yes, so the whole thing is, this is a very sad story, and I sympathize with Miss Kuyateh. Bowie, from where I live, is probably about 25 plus miles. So I can only imagine, the pain that the family is going through. There's a lot of things happened here, and I'm going to read some of the publications and articles that explains the arrangement that Ghana has with the United States and how they've really violated, the agreement that they had. And I'm going to show you guys that article, but let me just talk about the situation itself, just a little bit, because honestly, I wish Mrs. Kuyateh had gotten a citizenship, right? This would not have happened in the first place. She's been in the US for over 30 years. I wish she would have done this, because nobody envisaged that the Trump administration was going to come to power and would do this. Remember, she's lived here for 30 years. No crime, no problems, no issues, contributing to the society, right? Paying taxes, owns a home. Matter of fact, as we speak right now, the home that her family is living in the US, she owns that home. So I want to talk to the State Department, because sometimes, it's nice to connect, the repercussions of some of the decisions that are made. The State Department's Homeland Security, all the professionals there. I'm not here to question the policy or nothing like that, but I just want to point this out to you guys so you would see exactly the repercussions and, some of the dangers that, citizens are facing that are being deported, to like Mrs. Kuyateh in a case where, she's not a criminal. She's here. She has a permanent resident. I mean, every year she has to go to ICE. Again, that's why I said I wished she would have, gotten a citizenship, because honestly, just going to check in, every year with ICE alone in itself should have been so much inconvenient that Miss Kuyateh should have used that time very wisely, but she has a reason why she didn't want to be a citizen of the US. I guess she's very proud of Sierra Leone, a country of birth. Some people, want to keep their nationality. And if I was a Sierra Leonean, if I was the government of Sierra Leone today, if I was the president of Sierra Leone today, the fact that Mrs. Kuyateh did not accept citizenship in the US alone would have, really, really gotten me excited in a way where I would really want to help her out, and take care of her now that she's back home, because she's very proud of her heritage and she's very proud of her nationality. The fact that she kept her Sierra Leonean heritage alone in itself, it's a beautiful thing, so I give her kudos for that. But however, I wished, because this would not have happened, the inconveniency that her family is going through, the inconveniencies that she's currently going through as well, giving everything up for 30 years. I mean, listen, 30 years of her life, this is all she knows. It's the US. It's going to be tough for her to adapt. But hopefully, I hope she adapts. And there's going to come a time when all of these people that were deported like that will come back to the US. That's for sure. If the administration changes, definitely, I know they will work out something, for them to come back. So all around, this is very sad. I feel very bad for the family, and I feel very sad for the son as well. And it's a beautiful thing that the son even stays with his mom up until now. I mean, multiple factors for that, because a lot of times, it is either, the son would have moved out of state, gone somewhere else, because Miss Kuyateh's parents, as you can see, they are living with her in the house in Bowie. They all live together, so I'm happy the son is holding down the family. He hasn't moved out or, living by himself. They're together, working in partnership, working in tandem, paying the bills and stuff like that. So, kudos to the young man. But I totally understand what he's going through, not being able to have his mom, when he comes home from work and stuff like that, that bond, that connection, that love, that has always been there, because she gave birth to him, here, because he was born here. So he's probably either in his late 20s, almost 30. That's what it looks like to me. So, but what I want to show is the fact that, Ghana made this arrangement. And I want to understand really why Mrs. Kuyateh's situation was a little bit different from everybody else that has been deported from the US to Ghana. Because remember, Ghana, Dramani Mahama actually signed this agreement, and saying they would accept West Africans only. That was the agreement they had with the United States. Whatever what the contract looks like, I don't know. I don't think we have access to that. But like I said, I want to read this publication from NBC, to give us an insight into what the arrangement looked like. All right. So I'm going to read this publication and read this article so we can track, because I really, wants to understand exactly, why is Mrs. Kuyateh's situation different? Why was she dragged from the hotel? So we're going to read this article and we'll see what it is, because we've known of other citizens that were deported. I think about 19 in total that has been deported to Ghana. But again, those are other nationalities. So maybe things happened. We did not know because they are not Sierra Leoneans. But now that it has happened to a Sierra Leonean, maybe that's why this is coming out. So it's our responsibility, people like myself, to use our platform, to broadcast this whole thing out there, and hopefully let the State Department and that of the Homeland Security, I'm sure they care about these kinds of situations, because again, anything that is going to give America a bad rap, I'm trying to protect the image of America. It's my responsibility as well, right, to make sure that America's image is protected. And maybe the White House can see this and say, what, we have to recalibrate it, check who are the kinds of people that we're going to deport. That's the kind of message that I hope to send in this live, right? Who are the types of people that we should be deporting? Mrs. Kuyateh, at least we had to do a background check and see that, okay, yes, she's not a citizen, but she's a permanent resident who has never committed any crime, who has never been in trouble. She's contributing to this economy and to the society. She owns a home in the United States. She came legally. She has stayed legally. So she checks all the boxes. So I think that's something that the White House, the State Department, and Homeland Security would look at and recalibrate, how they are kicking people out. Because I understand what's happening, as far as getting, the bad guys, and bad people out of the United States of America. They know why they're doing that, and we all understand why they're doing that. But I want them to revamp this. Take a good look at this next time. Somebody like Mrs. Kuyateh, does she deserve to be treated like this? I think that's the fundamental question that needs to be asked. And I would hope, Mrs. Kuyateh would be brought back to the U.S. to reconnect with her family, and things, would be taken care of. I know it's far-fetched, but nothing is impossible. So maybe, somebody from the State Department, somebody from the White House, somebody from Homeland Security is probably seeing this and say, what, let's do the right thing by Ms. Kuyateh. But first thing, let me read the agreement that you guys had with Ghana. So, like I said again, 19, migrants deported by the U.S. to Ghana, have been moved to an unknown location, lawyer says. Dozens of deportees, have been sent to Africa, from the U.S. since July, after the Trump administration struck largely secretive agreements with at least 5 African nations. All right, so let's read this. That's President John Mahama. So I really want to bring this to the attention of the Ghanaian people here. Let me see. All right, so I have this a little bigger. And of course, this article was posted on the 14th. Today's the 24th, so this was 10 days ago, as you can see by the Associated Press. So Accra, Ghana. 19 West African nationals deported by the U.S. to Ghana have been moved to an unknown location, a lawyer for one of the deportees said. Anna Dion Lanier, who represents one of the nationals, told the Associated Press on Thursday the group arrived in Ghana on November 5 and were put in a hotel. They are protected from deportation to their home countries due to the risk of torture, persecution, or inhumane treatment, she said. All right, so let's see. We don't know the location of any of them, Dion Lanier said, adding that neither she nor a client's family has been able to reach him. She said part of the group was sent by bus to an unknown border location between last weekend and Monday, while a second group, which included a client, was moved under heavy armed guard from the hotel around Wednesday. The Ghanaian government, so I don't know if this is Mrs. Kuyateh's situation. The Ghanaian government didn't immediately respond to a request for comment. Dozens of deportees have been sent to Africa from the US since July after the Trump administration struck largely secretive agreements with at least 5 African nations, including Eswatini, Rwanda, and South Sudan, to take migrants under a new third country deportation program. All right. So the Trump administration's deportation program has faced widespread criticism from human rights experts who cite international protections for asylum seekers and question whether immigrants will be appropriately screened before being deported. So in the case of Mrs. Kuyateh, we would have hoped she would have been properly screened so she's not treated like a criminal, because she's not a criminal. The administration has been seeking ways to deter immigrants from entering the U.S. illegally and remove those who already have done so, especially those accused of crimes, and including those who cannot easily be deported to their home countries. Faced with court decisions that migrants can't be sent back to their home countries, the Trump administration has increasingly been trying to send them to third countries under agreements with those governments. So last month, the Ghanaian rights group, Democracy Hub, so there's a group in Ghana actually looking into this, filed a lawsuit against Ghana's government, alleging that its agreement with Washington is unconstitutional because it wasn't approved by the Ghanaian parliament, and that it may violate conventions that forbid sending people to countries where they could face persecution. In September, the U.S. Department of Justice argued in a federal court that it had no power to control how another country treats deportees. It said that Ghana had pledged to the US it wouldn't send the deportees back to their home countries. So again, this was a court argument, and somebody representing the US Department of Justice actually argued that, they don't have any power on how another country treats deportees. They made that clear. They don't have a power as to how other countries will treat deportees. However, it is said that Ghana had pledged to the US, and this is the catch for me, right? So Ghana pledged to the US it wouldn't send the deportees back to their home countries. So now, if we go back and look at Mrs. Kuyateh's situation, there lies the question that needs to be asked as to why Ms. Kuyateh was treated this way by Ghanaian authorities when Ghana pledged that they weren't going to deport citizens to their home countries. So it seems like Ghana, probably, I don't know what the deal is, but maybe the US government is giving them some money, because we remember, like with Rwanda, they signed contracts where Rwanda was getting a certain amount of money with the United Kingdom. You guys remember that? You can look that up. I don't want to get away from this message, but is there any monetary compensation for Ghana accepting these deportees? What is going on? We don't know. But Ghana actually promised, that they would not. And that's the thing. That's the key word right there. So, even though the U.S. Department of Justice says they don't control, they cannot control how other countries treat deportees. So you see, that's how they remove their neck. And I want to appeal to the State Department. I want to appeal to the White House. I want to appeal to the Homeland Security, because in the case of Ms. Kuyateh, let's see how we can bring her back. She does not deserve to be treated the way she was treated, chained like some criminal, and deported out of the U.S., sent to Ghana, and she was molested, in Ghana. Again, we don't know what the problem is, but she was basically dragged out of the hotel in Ghana. And I mean, the flight from the U.S. to Ghana alone, she suffered, from the hands of, the chains that she was in and all of that.
And the government had multiple opportunities to do this.
Bridges says earlier this month, Kuyateh was flown from the U.S. to Ghana, a country she's never been to before.
Hi, Mom.
Muhammad called his mother in Africa while we were with him. She says her wrists and ankles are swollen from being shackled for the 10-hour flight. She said some other...
That is rough. That is rough for her to go through that. So I want the State Department's, White House, and, Homeland Security, to see this, because this is not looking good for the U.S. And I know that, you guys mean well, and you want to protect the reputation of the United States of America, and America being the bastion of democracy, the bastion of human rights protection. People know they can come here and be protected by the laws. Mrs. Kuyateh has lived a very, gracious life for the 30 years that she was in the United States, no criminal history. She's a nurse. I mean, giving back, helping people within the community where she works, contributing to the society, paying property taxes, paying taxes, all of that, and she's vested, has family, that stays with her, a son stays with her. And I think she does not deserve this, so maybe somebody can look at this and, revisit this and see how we can extradite, well, not extradite, but see how we can safely return, Mrs. Kuyateh back to the United States of America. I don't know what it's going to take to get that to happen. But I'm sure you guys are very compassionate and you care about your reputation. You care. You have a soul. You have a spirit. You have a heart. You're human beings, and I know that. And I know you're looking forward to see how we can protect Miss Kuyateh and bring her back. But look at her feet there. From the 10-hour flight, sore because she was chained. So let's see this.
Even worse.
There was another guy on the floor. That guy, they trained him from the head down to the feet. They said, if you don't cooperate with us, that's how we're going to tie you.
Kuyateh told the I-Team she and other deportees were sent to a hotel in Ghana. She says she was there for 6 days before this happened. A bus arrived to take her to Sierra Leone, even though an American...
Right there, guys. So again, I go back to the article, right? You hear that. A bus appeared to take her away. But then the Ghanaian authorities actually signed. They did pledge. They made a pledge. And this is the pledge that the Ghanaian authorities made. It said that Ghana had pledged to the U.S. it wouldn't send the deportees back to their home countries. So what changed? I would like an investigation into that. Point this out to all the parties involved. What was the arrangement? Mrs. Kuyateh was in a hotel for 6 days. So after 6 days, of course, she was dragged out of the hotel room, as you can see. So what is the agreement that the Ghanaian government has? But they pledged, that they would not be sending deportees back to their home countries. So, of course, initially, when the president of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, right here, when he did this, when he accepted that he would accept West Africans to Ghana, I mean, it was mixed for me, because at that point, we know that the administration, the Trump administration, they were going to do whatever they were going to do anyways. Nothing is going to stop them. But at least Ghana gave a safety cushion, giving Ghana's, advanced and all of that. But Ghana gave a safety cushion to some of the citizens that are persecuted back home in their various countries. I don't know, Miss Kuyateh. Maybe Miss Kuyateh would have met me. Miss Kuyateh, I'm sure, knows me somehow, maybe on social media, might have heard my audios and this and that. I don't know if she's a political kind of person. I don't know if she's engaged in Sierra Leone's politics. So I don't think she has ever, had anything to say about the Bio regime. So I don't think she's a target. I don't believe she's someone who is I don't know. I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to speculate, right? But at the end of the day, when Ghanaian president accepted that offer, I was like, okay, well, at least, they have a safe place to go to, so that somebody who's from, some South Sudan, as an example, wouldn't be sent to South Sudan, because you know how that conditions in these countries. And these are people that have lived in the U.S. all their life, 30 years. She doesn't know what a blackout is. She can go to the grocery store. She's working and she's employed. She has what she has. She has a car. She has a house. She has everything. She's built a life out here, So, we're like, okay, if they're sending them to Ghana, because again, I know this is going to end. It is either the Trump administration fixes these problems, or maybe when the administration changes, a new government comes to power, I'm sure they're going to bring all these people back. But in the interim, when Ghana's president, John Mahama, actually signed this, at least it wasn't. I accepted it. That's what it is. Say, at least they have a safe place to go to, But we were not expecting for people like Miss Kuyateh, who has lived in the U.S., non-criminal, contributing to society very positively. I can only imagine the amount of lives that she has blessed being a nurse, And just because she did not have a citizenship, but she has been here very, a permanent resident, as legally staying here legally and everything. Nobody would expect that she would be deported, because green card itself gives you permanent residency. It's renewable every 10 years. Basically, it has a lifespan. And she was checking with ICE, at least every year or so. So over the 30 years. But like I said, I wished, Mrs. Kuyateh had accepted citizenship, but she's a patriot. She's a national, she's a she's very nationalistic. I'll put it that way. She's proud of her culture, proud of her heritage, proud of being a Sierra Leonean. So maybe that's why she decided, to stay, green card holder and not be a U.S. citizen. But the Ghanaian president, they signed a deal, even though it didn't go through parliament, but they pledged. It's clear right here. They pledged that they would not. They pledged that they would not send the deportees back to their home countries. So I just want to know what changed. For me, that is the fundamental question that I want to ask. All right, that's what I want to ask, and it's sad. It's sad. So, yeah, yeah. I feel like I had to talk about this. Let's watch a little snippet of that video again and listen to some of what they said here and see.
Judge ordered she could not be sent there. Her attorney says she was ultimately sent there anyway, although she resisted.
That's when they dragged me. So they bumped the back of my head.
The I-team obtained multiple videos of the dragging that were sent to her family. Kuyateh believes the people in the green uniforms worked for Ghana's government. These are pictures of some of the injuries she says she sustained after the dragging. The video went viral overseas, and several media outlets in West Africa reported that the Sierra Leone High Commission, which is like its embassy in Ghana, said it's aware of the incident and will investigate. We asked the Ministry of the Interior for Ghana about this. They acknowledged our email, but didn't answer our questions. We received no response from Sierra Leone officials.
I consider America my home. It's like I built relationships there.
Kuyateh says she's safe for now in an undisclosed location in Sierra Leone, as her family sits in the home she owns in Bowie, wondering what her future holds and if she will ever come back again.
Do you feel like...
Yeah, that's a very sad story. And that's Miss Kuyateh's son, by the way. I wish him well, and hopefully be able to bring his mom back, and then we'll take it from there. But unfortunately, that's the reality of what is actually happening, and hopefully this situation will be resolved amicably and peacefully, and she'll have an opportunity to come back to the United States, because she does not deserve, to go through what she's going through currently. I think we can all agree on that. All right. But yeah, I just wished, honestly, that Mrs. Kuyateh, would have at least secured a citizenship so she wouldn't have to go through, what she is currently, going through. So that's what I want to share with you guys.